Welcome to the Better Two podcast. I'm your host, Donna. Today's guest is Annie Kuchenmeister from Loki's Folly. We talk about new music. We talk about how she wants her music to be a safe space for others, and well, so much more. So tune in. Hi, Annie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I want to jump right in because, everybody's going to want to question why Loki's Folly. What made the name happen?
We've all, me and my siblings have always been big fans of like mythology in general. And we're all Scandinavian, so Norse mythology was definitely a big thing for us. And then also big fans of like Marvel and things like that. So we kind of wanted something that represented those things for us. And it sounded cool. It had like a nice roll off the tongue, so we went with it.
And that makes sense. I mean, as soon as I read Loki's Folly, of course, I thought of Marvel. I did.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom Hiddleston plays this role so well, and he's always going to come to mind. That's just one of those things.
For sure. And he's great. So
yeah. And I mean, it lends you to a mischievous tone with your music then.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's definitely a songwriting direction we lean towards with, sometimes having like sillier songs that have darker undertones or the opposite where it's, maybe a darker topic or a sadder experience that we're talking about, but kind of shifting that into a new world. And I think in general that like concept of like chaos and trickster and stuff is something I personally really am drawn to in terms of like shifting concepts and paradigms and playing with different worlds of things like that.
And that's kind of, I mean, right now what we're talking about as far as the world going on, we are shifting paradigms. We're shifting things, what we knew before, things are changing. And how do we manage to go through things, especially like with AI? AI is changing things and kind of the trickster thing. What is real?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's definitely, with AI especially, it's definitely a good time to really focus on what things make you as a songwriter like yourself and what, tricks, what special eccentricities, things like that make you different. It's something that's really, I think, now more than ever, especially important to focus on where it makes it feel worth it, I guess.
Yeah, what makes you stand out? I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like you have to find something as a musician, as a singer, as a songwriter that makes you different. I mean, everybody's got their own, I don't want to say type of music, but what is going to get you a broader audience? And I'm not saying, oh, well, go sell out. You have to
Yeah.
own yourself. And I think now, especially like with the avenues of so many ways to become a musician and put your music out there instead of just being the old guard where you have to have a record deal. And Brent, I know you got a record deal, but you have to have a record deal and you can't put your music out and you're stuck there. Now you can explore.
Yeah. And it's true. It's like one of those things where it's that same multiple paradigms, multiple things where like there are these good things about modern technology and modern accessibility, and there's bad things, and you can't have one without the other. And, anyone and everyone can make music. Even, I guess you could even say with AI, it can make anyone
Yeah.
capable of technically writing a song. Which is great because you can get people who would never write songs and before be able to, but then it's also you're going to be inundated with all this like
Yeah, I mean it takes away the craft and because I'm an author, we deal with the same kind of stuff because it's like, well, I'm a writer now because I put prompts in an AI and I have now written a book. Did you really?
yeah, right.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, as good as it is, there's there's not as much gatekeeping now, and you
Yeah.
have more ability to share things. It's quality over quantity, that's what it's got to come down to. So, what made you decide to form a band? And I know you formed the band with your siblings. What made that all come about?
Yeah, so My sister and I were the ones who started the band when I was 16, so our brother would have been like 6, so he was
Well,
busy
yeah.
with, yeah, 6-year-old things. um, and we both had gotten into a lot of music, like we had gotten into Green Day, super into My Chemical Romance, still are. And our mom had suggested, she was like, oh, you like these things, you could check out some of these like local bands from the past. So it was like The Replacements, which then led us to like Soul Asylum, Babes in Toyland, you know, all these great Minneapolis classics. And we were just like, it was like we'd stay up till like 2 a.m. on YouTube, like, okay, let's see if we can find a video of this. You've listened to this, but have you listened to this song? And it just kind of was this awe-inspiring, this is what they're doing, we have to do it too, kind of thing.
Which I'm sure, since you brought up Soul Asylum, it must have been a really big deal to have Ryan Smith produce 2 songs.
Oh, yeah. Well, and actually, so Ryan was our music teacher, my guitar teacher, Nissa's drum teacher. And we were like there when he was auditioning for Soul, or like not there, but you know, he was teaching us while he was auditioning for Soul Asylum. And it was like we'd come into lessons, and beforehand he's like, oh yeah, I just learned like 10 new songs, I've got to get ready to practice for the audition coming in. It was just like exciting to see. So he's a super special person to all of us. He really took care of us, and is the person who really helped make us who we are as musicians.
Well, and also having somebody that's had that inside track, that has had some success, he can tell you things and show you how to navigate the business a little bit too, I would think.
Oh yeah, there have been so many times where like if we get like an email asking for something, it's like, I don't know what that is. It's texting Ryan. It's like, wait, please. What do they need? How do we do this? So he's been a super big supporter.
So, where do you see yourself? I mean, I know you're releasing Redemption, and I know what part of that, it was interesting when I was reading it, you were talking about the defensive and protection anger. And I don't think we really address that enough, that people get defensive because it is a matter of protection. So what made you decide to write this song?
Yeah, it definitely came out of like personal like anxieties, mental health issues, and things like that. And I feel like for me and for a lot of people, it's like a constant struggle of trying to figure out how to like deal with those feelings. And I think for me, I don't want to have like bad reactions to things, but you can't control having like, you know, outbursts of anger. Certain things are just gonna be that way. And so I really wanted to like delve into that thing that I felt embarrassed about having, where I was like, oh, if I am angry in a wrong way, then I'm bad or wrong or evil or whatever you want to do it. You know, it's easy to start blaming yourself for having those feelings. And I wanted to get that part out, and those are like the verses, and that was just kind of my, you know, unfiltered, that's how I feel about being angry or feeling wronged. And then I wanted the choruses then to have like a lighter, you know, the after I have those feelings, me telling myself it's okay. So it's that, you know, you're okay, everything, you're gonna pull through, and you're not wrong for having feelings.
Well, and that's one thing, you know, I've had quite a few people tell me in the past, feelings aren't facts.
Yeah.
Well, that's true, but at that moment, they feel like a fact.
Yeah.
And you're entitled to your feelings. I think that's where the problem lies, is a lot of people feel like you're not entitled to feel the way you do.
Exactly. And it's like, in the end, it's just how chemicals are interacting in your brain. So you don't have to worry about it as much as
well, and
someone.
it's also some of the stuff you've gone through in your life without realizing it. Because one thing that we go through that we never honestly own is we tend to repeat cycles. We tend to, and the trauma may change just a little bit, but we tend to pick similar people that have harmed us. They feel comfortable, so it's like, oh yeah, just come on in. And,
Exactly.
and I often attribute it to like a video game. It's like, yeah, I beat the big boss. This is never going to happen again. And you're like, oh no, here we are again.
There's another one. Yeah.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
I mean, your feelings are valid. And I think if you can write them out in a song, you know, or do it, draw a picture or put it into art, some kind of art, whether it be writing, music, or whatever, you're getting it out. And that helps heal. But it's always one of those things. And that's what nobody really thinks about with mental health is it's always a struggle. It's always something you have to go through and navigate by yourself. No matter if you are on meds, no matter if you're talking to somebody, you're always the one that has to analyze and work through it.
Yeah, exactly.
And for some people, it's easier than others. And I'm glad that you can recognize those feelings and want to, and release them because you
Yeah.
are allowed to be angry. We all are. It's just if you're angry in a rational state and not taking it out on anybody else, it's a better thing.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I feel like I like to treat like art and music and all of these like creative outputs in a like it's a magical thing and if you can cast the spell to release these feelings or release that energy, it really feels emotionally valuable for myself, to say the least. And like, my only hope is that maybe if someone else wants to feel that too, they can find that as
Well,
well.
and that's the thing, we don't talk about the fact that words have such power and such energy and such dynamics, and they can bring things in. And that's the same thing with your emotions. You can attract all that stuff into your life.
Yeah.
And so it's better to get it out. And if somebody else, and as a musician, as a writer, for me, when somebody connects with your lyrics, with your words, that means everything. And it shows you how powerful you are. And it's not an ego power. It's a power of, I created this and it connected with somebody, and that's a gift.
Yeah. Exactly. And it makes it all feel so full circle too, where it's like, oh, bad feelings releasing and then recovering them.
Because there'll be a moment somebody will reach out and talk to you, if you haven't had that already, about how that song moved them and
Yeah.
how it changed their life, which is always a gift. So, what are your plans as far as, are you going to continue to make more music after this comes out? And are you going to release another record? I know you released one in 2023. So, what are the plans for that?
Yeah, so we've got some more singles in the works, and we're kind of like building those up to eventually have a full length to go with them. And kind of just taking it as it goes, figuring things out and just rating them as they come.
Are
So,
you guys playing any live dates?
we've got one in January at the White Squirrel, which is going to be very fun. It's a cute little venue here. And then I'm going to be doing a couple vocal features at a couple of shows. I'm going to be at a Hanukkah show coming up and the annual Replacements tribute, which we've gotten to be a part of for a few years now, which is always fun and
Nice.
special. Yeah.
But any bigger plans on touring?
I would like to plan some tours. It's kind of up in the air right now,
Right.
but you know, half, no, not half, two-thirds of the band are still, in school or school age. So, it's always a tricky thing planning around those things.
Yes. Yes. Especially your brother is pretty young, so I can imagine how hard it is. So when you decided to bring him on, was this because he was hanging around practice and it was like, oh, well, just, what do you want to play? Or did you just hand him the bass guitar and say, this is what you're playing?
A combo of both. It was, he always was there at our shows and would come along with, and he really wanted to get to play with his big sisters, as I think any younger child
Hmm.
might be inclined to do. And so we were like, well, the thing we're missing is bass. So he decided to start learning bass, and he started pretty early, and then he was like, I don't think I'm ready for this, but I think I'll be ready when I'm 9. So
Wow.
we were like, okay, that sounds good, figuring maybe it was just a kid thing to say.
Hmm.
But then on his 9th birthday, he's like, so I'm ready. It's time to go.
And
So he started learning, and got all ready and learned the song. So that's about, maybe with a bit of leeway in the time he joined the band.
does he ever play in other bands or is it just with you guys?
Just with us. He's 15 right now, and he goes to a online school, so he's got some people he can interact with that. But as far as music goes, it's mostly with us.
Understand. I was just wondering if it was the old trope of since he was in high school, but if he's online school, that's different. But
Yeah.
yeah, if he was at school, that might be a little, well, might be a little different, you know. But so when you decided, it was you and your sister that decided to form the band. When did you decide that we're going to take this seriously and we're going to pursue getting a record deal and this is how we're going to create it and this is what we want our music to be? How did you really think about that? I mean, it wasn't something I'm sure that came to you overnight. You had to put
Yeah.
it all together. So, I mean, I'm sure, and then you have the conversation. I know you're the older one, but what kind of input did your sister have into this?
Yeah, so it started obviously with that like inspiration wanting to do this thing that we saw people we respected doing. And it was a lot of like talking with Ryan and being like, okay, well, what do we need to do to make that happen? And like one thing we both respected out of those people were the songs they wrote. So it was like, okay, I guess we have to learn how to write songs. So it started with a lot of like, okay, I want it to sound like this song to sound like a mix between like Joan Jett and David Bowie, and make a playlist of songs we like
Hmm.
and pull the little bits that we liked out of each of them. And again, it was those same like sleepovers where we were like, okay, I'll grab my guitar. I think we could do this. What are some things we've been like dealing with lately? Things like that. And so most of Sisu was written super together. And it was special time because both of us were young and figuring out, life and life transitions and things like that. So,
Have you played in any other bands?
I am working on a couple projects with my partner right now, which is fun to work on, but that's only been in the last couple years, so mostly my focus has been on this.
Well, that's fine. Are
Yeah.
you guys going to make some more music videos or?
Yeah, we have some planned. We had one that if we ever finish making it, it'll be fun for one of the Sisu songs actually. And most of them, actually all of them, have just kind of been things we've put together either ourselves or with various people, asking different people to pull together with us and put together something special. So it's always been a fun experience, and very DIY. So,
Well, and it's much easier now to do a DIY video.
oh yeah, like a number of them are just, iPhone
Hmm.
camera video. Yeah.
Yeah, it's much easier now. And the thing is, by doing it yourself, then you can contain the creative control of it too.
Yeah, exactly.
So, is it easy to work with your record label?
Yeah, they've been super nice. Our label representative, Bruce, is super kind, always checking in, making sure we have things we need. It's, we're in the middle of a snowstorm and cold wave up here. And, he's like texting, like, oh, are you guys staying warm up there? So it's been a very cozy, comfy experience, which is what we were hoping for in terms of a label. We were willing to do everything by ourselves until we found something like this where it's really uh, pulling together for us and making it the best it can be for
Well,
what we want.
and you want a label that's going to be there for you, that treats you like family. You want that. I mean,
Exactly.
otherwise you're in a machine and you really don't want that.
Yeah.
But I understand about the cold snap because I'm outside of Chicago, and yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah.
weekend we're supposed to have -3 with a wind chill of -30 something, and I'm like, I'm just staying home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying home.
Yeah. I think we're supposed to get like 3 inches in an hour right now. And I was like, driving home through it, like, I gotta get back into it.
And I'm complaining about these seven. We had as much snow this year. So this it's 2025, in all honesty, guys, that's listening. We had 17 inches of snow last year, the whole year. And for 2 weekend snowstorms, we've had 17 inches already.
Yeah, yeah, last winter was nothing,
Yeah.
and now it's like, okay, we're back
Yeah.
into it.
I mean, it's been several winters where we haven't had any snow, and it's like this year we're making up for it and then some.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm already done with winter and we're not even there yet. So, um, have you ever given any thought about moving out of Minnesota?
Personally, I like it a lot here. I really like the community. The music community here is really something special. And super close knit, especially like across genres or communities, which I really appreciate. And I don't hate the cold, so I prefer it over the hot summers. So
Well, that's always been my thought. It's like people are like, how do you live up there? People, because I'm originally from New Orleans, and it's like, look, folks, you can only take so much off, but you can put a
mm,
lot more on, and nobody's going to say anything. But you can only take so much off when it's hot.
oh yeah, exactly.
And I don't like hot weather. I've lived up here for 30 something years, and not my favorite thing is hot. Mm-mm.
No, I hate the sweat, hate the heat, hate everything.
If you could play any venue, what would your dream venue be?
Um, in the past, we've often said Red Rocks, which would be very cool. There are a couple of like Scandinavian festivals that we follow that I think would be really, really cool too, just because like we still have some family there and it would be cool to see like some of the places where our family's from. And also like Iceland would be cool because Björk. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, then let me ask you this. If you could play with any artist, living or dead, who would it be?
Maybe gotta go with like Minnesota royalty and go with Prince on that one.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, not that the genres would match at all, and not that it would necessarily work, but
No,
it would mean
no.
I'd get to see him.
True, true. There was a story once of a famous bassist that Prince said, "Hey, you want to come on up and play?" And he's like, "I was smart enough to say no because I knew Prince would play me off the stage, so I would have loved, but no. I mean, Prince was a force to reckon with.
Yeah, yeah. Amazing, amazing person.
So, anybody that is alive that you would like to play with?
Um, ooh, it's tempting to go back into another Minnesota band, and if Babes in Toyland were to ever reform, I would love to play with them. I'm also personally, I won't speak for the rest of the band, but I love Mannequin Pussy and I love their new album, and that would be like such a dream band to open with for like current artists.
Hmm. Well, and this question was for you. It's not for the rest of the band. This is for
Yeah.
you. So, yeah,
So I get to take over for
exactly,
that.
exactly. Um, so so you want to play overseas, that's where a lot of gigs happen. And I mean, once they're out of school, you have the ability to do that because I know that like some of the groups that are on the label, because I've
Yeah.
had the pleasure of interviewing, have gone to the UK and have gone to other festivals. So as soon as maybe summer, you might be able to do some of that.
Yeah, which would be so cool. Uh,
So why did you decide to play guitar?
um, it was a little bit because of like the people I liked a lot. I wanted to be like a front person like Billy Joe Armstrong, and I was like, oh well, I could do guitar. That being said, at first I was like, just guitar. I don't want to sing at all. Um, so singing was kind of a slow build for me. And yeah, guitar was kind of a like, this is what I like value in a lot of the bands I like, so I've got to learn how to do that, and kind of just fell in love with it, fell in love with the theory, the structure. It's such a cool instrument.
Well, it's always, talking about singing, you putting yourself in front of everybody else, all eyes are on you, and that can be very intimidating.
Oh yeah, that was definitely my like nervous point. I was like, I'd rather just be kind of in the side and just write the songs, but then it's like, well, I want to have the band. I've got the two of us. I'm gonna have to pull through if I want to write the songs and have them be played. And I love it now, so it worked out.
What do you hope your fans take away from your music?
Um, I hope it's a feeling of like release, a place to feel seen or heard, especially if it's something they don't feel seen or heard in elsewhere. Kind of create that pocket of safety that so many bands have been for me. And maybe to have some fun as well.
So when you speak of a pocket of safety, was it just to get through the tough times of school or just the angst of being a teenager?
Yeah, yeah, I had like a rough time in school just with like anxiety, struggling. I'm autistic, so that was also just a major struggle point for me. And at the time, I was undiagnosed. I got diagnosed at 17, so it was just a really confusing, hard to deal with situation. And music in general was just my like only safe space in that way. And like my weekly lessons with Ryan were like one of the few times where I'm like, okay, this is where I get to like focus on something that makes me happy. So my only hope is that it can then be that for other people too.
Well, and I think, when you're talking about the anxiety of school, and I think that's the one thing we don't look at when we really look at education is not everybody's going to learn the same way.
Yeah, yeah,
And so then you have the problem of not being seen and even or feeling stupid if you say something and nobody else gets it, but you have this logical reason for saying it or doing this. And it's unfortunate that we have it in such parameters that it has to be this way.
yeah, yeah. And just like the from like things to environment to teaching style to like all sorts of factors can play into those things. And like I, as one of my other things I do is I teach music now too, and that's like one thing because it was such a struggle for me is something I really try to focus on in my own teaching is like if someone's not understanding something, that's not their fault. That's like my fault. I need to find something, another way to teach it because whatever's going on, there's always a way.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I mean, I graduated high school quite a while ago. But I feel for you guys because from the younger generations because of the fact that when the worst thing that we had to deal with at school in the environment besides bullies and stuff was a tornado drill, the possibility of a tornado. And for you guys having to fear every time you go to school that somebody might go crazy.
Mhm.
And I mean, unfortunately, that's bled out even further into the world wherever you go. But it's unfortunate that a place that should have been safe for you guys wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. That's something that we've talked a lot about in our family. That's like partially a reason why my brother is not in school, just because it's a stressful thing to
Yeah.
have to cope with. And I think it does really affect a lot of us, and I think it's gonna, become something more and more discussed as more of our age people get into adulthood and really come to terms with how that affects your psyche in the long term.
I mean, it has to. There's no doubt about it that it has to affect your psyche. Just like doom scrolling. If you're on their phone and you're doom scrolling and you're not looking at anything positive and you're, not saying AI slop, folks. I'm talking, just the stuff that's going on in the world. It's like you have to turn yourself off from that. Otherwise, you're going to have an issue and it's going to affect your psyche.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to wrap this up shortly because I'm going to be running out of time. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to add?
I guess not that I can think of. You've asked amazing questions, so this has been a really, really fun and awesome interview.
Thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
I can only imagine going to guitar lessons, and here we have somebody, Ryan, who is somebody that is trying out for a band that we are inspired by, who ends up helping produce our music. I mean, that's a gift in itself. And being able to collaborate with your siblings, even, the story, the 6-year-old boy who is kind of there, he's not in the band yet, but by the time I'm 8, I'm not quite there yet, but 9, oh, I will be there. I will be there to play bass without a problem. So it's a family affair. And to watch your siblings, to be able to sit there with your sister and create something, because you're sending this music back and forth and you're building on it and you're creating what you want and envisioning what you want. That is a gift. And Atomic Kitten Records is really a good organization. I've dealt with several other artists, and they seem to be very much, they look after their artists, they nurture their artists, and they take care of their artists. And having that as a musician is very important. And I don't know that everybody's got that. We all need that support system. And I've talked to many people about not having that support system. So I think that they have that support system, and it's an awesome thing that they do, and they have each other to support. When we're talking about the issue with gun violence, I think it's kind of important that we also do address that, because yes, my generation, when we went to school, we didn't have, yeah, we had some fights, yes, occasionally. And yes, we had some bullies. But the biggest thing we had to worry about was when we got called out in the hall. Yeah, okay, like, this is really going to protect you. Please go out to the hall and put a book over your head, because we're going to practice a tornado drill. Let's be honest here, folks. If a tornado is going to rip through that building, that book over our head is not going to do anything. It's like it's the Cold War thing, duck and cover. That's not going to help. It's not. It's just this whole fake sense of protection. So we don't address what the younger generations have gone through, to have to go to school and be fearful that somebody's going to lose their noodle, or freak out and pull out a weapon. And it doesn't have to be a gun, it could be something else. But we don't look at that. We don't look at the fact that we are constantly living in fear. And I think that's something in a bigger picture now, because yeah, even here, you can go to our grocery store, and if somebody starts to lose it, you kind of get worried. I remember being in a store a few years ago, about 5 years ago, and all of a sudden this guy just starts yelling at some of the workers there. And it's like, okay, so where do I go? Do I go to the back of the store, or do I go out the front door? What do I do? And it's one of those moments where you have to figure it out. You have to find a place that's safe. And it turned out that they were well aware of this guy. He had been there several times. He had been kicked out the store several times, and here he is again. But why do we have to live in fear? Why do we have to be those people that are constantly in fear? And it affects your body, and nobody talks about that. And I could have asked that, for Annie. It's like, living in fear, how does it affect you? And we don't talk about that, because we're all supposed to keep going. It goes back to that feelings, that are valid, but you shouldn't feel that. You shouldn't be that way. You're too soft. No, these are my feelings, and I have them, and everybody's got them. And we should embrace our feelings a little bit more, to be a little bit more compassionate, a little bit more empathetic to the others, to other people that may be going through something, because that's the one thing we don't look at. When somebody does have a meltdown, or somebody's rude, we don't know what else is going on in their life. And so we have to look at the bigger picture. So, on that note, I'd like to thank Fast Susie for all of the music that they gave us, the intro and the outro. I'd like to thank Annie for coming on the show. It was a great interview. It was a fun interview. And most importantly, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in, whether it be morning, noon, or night. I always appreciate you listening. And, like I said on our last holiday episode, leave a review. If you like it, leave a review. And if you want to come on the show, let me know. If you got a good story, let me know. That's what I'm here for. And if you got a comment for the guests, let us know, because when it goes on social media, they're tagged and they can see the comments most of the time, just like I can. So, on that note, thank you guys as always, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.